Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Orla, and in this channel I read short stories for children and adults who are interested. In today's video I'll be reading another story from Girls Who Slay Monsters. Daring Tales of Ireland's Forgotten Goddesses. Great book written by Ellen Ryan, illustrated by Shona Shirley MacDonald. So cuddle down, get cozy, and let's begin. This story is called Chuille, Monster Slayer. Chuille didn't look like other goddesses. Over 6 feet tall, muscled and handsome, she never wore dresses or pretty jewellery. And she had a scar between her right eye from one of her many scrapes and tumbles. This behaviour wasn't acceptable in her home, the outer world's gentle land, a winding evergreen valley where everyone was sweet and kind. Instead of learning to sword fight, children were taught to use herbs for healing and to always care for one another. Chuille struggled to fit in. One year, the entire outworld went to war against a demon army. From the Isle of Apples to the silver-clouded plain, all lands sent soldiers to the front line. The northwest coast of Ireland, where the battle was raging, all that is except the gentle land. When Chuille heard this news, she barged into her mother's bedroom and demanded that she explain. "Why are our people such cowards?" she asked. Smiling gently, her mother said, "We are not cowards, Chuille, but we believe a gentle heart is the greatest strength a god can have. That is why we don't get involved in war." Chuille scoffed. "Well, I'm going to join the Outworld army just as soon as I get my goddess power. I'm certain I'll receive super speed, or maybe I'll conjure lightning with my bare hands. Then I'll show our people what real strength is." But when it finally came, her power was not at all what she expected. That day started like any other. Chuille's mother sent her to collect berries with the other young goddesses. Off they went to the forest, which was thick with blackthorns and sloe fruit. The girls quietly gathered berries from small green bushes, but Chuille grew bored and tried to climb a fruit tree instead. Unfortunately, the delicate branches snapped in half under her big feet, and the goddesses roared with laughter when she fell to the ground. Embarrassed, Chuille charged at the trees as if they were the enemy army. "You won't get the better of me," she cried. "I'll conquer every bough and berry." At once, the trees obediently bent their branches low to the ground. Their fruit rested on the forest floor, ready to be harvested. The other goddesses were astonished, but Chuille was bitterly disappointed. Was this her power? She planned to be a great warrior, not someone who talks to trees. Even this new power didn't seem to fit her, so she ran out of the forest and away from home. She would escape to the only place that could make her happy, the battlefield in Ireland. There was just one problem. Chuille had never been to Ireland, so she got completely lost on her travels and ended up on the wrong side of the country. Greatly delayed and travelling by foot, Chuille was so slow making her way to the front line that winter arrived. Every day the freezing weather snapped at her skin and the sky heaved with black clouds that burst open all at once. Silver spears of icy rain pelted down on the lonely goddess. But the cold was nothing compared to the man-eating puka that were everywhere. These hairy, goat-headed goblins scrambled in the hedgerows, jumping out to kill innocent passers-by and carrying their victims away into hidden rock cliffs. Chuille had never seen such creatures, and terrified, she spent her nights hiding with mortals in their poky little huts. She gratefully accepted meals as well as shelter, even though she found human food strange and disgusting. Dreadful slop, like porridge mixed with animal fat, or sour smelling lumps of mutton, but it was all she could get. Every night the goddess wondered if she had made a terrible mistake by going there, and each morning she had to force herself up to continue the next leg of her journey. But at long last, on arriving in County Sligo, Chuille reached the front line. The battlefield was a vast scrub of scorched earth bordered by the remains of a yew forest. Here she stumbled over broken bodies hidden in muddy sludge. She covered her ears to block out the horrible sound of their strange moans. Chuille thought of the soft slopes of home and imagined being back in her mother's gentle arms. But it was now or never to prove herself as a warrior. So she pushed through lines of heavily armoured gods and mortal men directly into the chaotic crush of battle. Chuille didn't even have a sword. And she certainly wasn't ready when Balor, the legendary leader of the demon army, thundered straight for her. He was a towering cyclops, and whoever stared directly into his gigantic, fiery, flashing eye would instantly burn to death. The goddess didn't know where to look or how to defend herself. Overcome with fear and panic, Chuille stood rooted to the ground like a tree. The trees! She realised they were all around and could hear her and could help her out of this. She shut her eyes tight against Balor's fiery stare, and pretending she was back home in the forest, Chuille blindly charged in the direction of her attacker. You won't get the better of me. I call on every bough and berry. The surrounding yew trees swayed and shook furiously, scattering birds into the sky. Chuille opened her eyes to see the ground crack open as thick roots burst up from the earth like coiled snakes ready to pounce. Strike these demons down, she commanded, and the army will scatter, terrified and trembling. With that, using their branches as arms, the trees hurled stones at the enemies, then violently snatched them up off the ground. The demons screamed in terror, trying to escape the battlefield as the forest closed in around them. Even Balor, the huge Cyclops was battered to the ground by the mightiest trees. He closed his terrifying eye while the forest held him down, waiting for Bequilla's orders. The goddess could barely believe what she had done. And here's the picture. That's Bequilla. And that's Baelor in his eye. And the roots have him. The outer world soldiers cheered all around her and clapped her on the back. Their leader, a burly, red-faced god called Lug, used his slingshot to catapult a stone through Baelor's evil eye. Then he presented the goddess with his magical demon-slaying sword. "Take the sword," he said, "and kill the Cyclops." Bequilla raised the weapon over Baelor's head, ready to strike. He was a horrible and dangerous monster. With him dead, the war would end and everyone could sleep better at night. But glancing down at Baelor, she noticed the Cyclops was shaking in fear. She couldn't help wondering if her friends and family would agree that he should die. The goddess remembered what her people believed. A gentle heart is the greatest strength a god can have. For the first time in her life, Bequilla understood what the saying truly meant. Slowly, she lowered the sword. "Trees, cage the Cyclops in your roots and drag him beneath the earth," she ordered. "He was to remain your prisoner for the next 300 years. Lug and his soldiers gasped at this act of mercy, and many were angry at her decision. But Lug reminded his men it was Bequilla who had won them this war, and they should accept her wishes. Now that the fighting was over, everyone could return home. But the goddess knew Puka still ran wild across Ireland, and the mortals needed help. So, travelling back the way she came, and on through the Celtic world, Bequilla and her army of trees chased down every Puka and dragged them below the earth. Pull them down. The goddess had learned to fight her enemies as she always wanted, but she also managed to fulfill the wish of her people. She no longer needed to fit in. She had found her own way in life. And so, without ever killing a single creature, Bequilla became known as the world's most respected monster slayer. Yay, Bequilla. The end. That was another great story from Girls Who Slay Monsters, or drag them down into the earth. Till the next one. Bye bye.